of the thousands of volunteers working with Special Olympics Oklahoma athletes during the summer games and throughout the year. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through 18th, 2019 as Special Olympics Oklahoma Week. In Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm sorry. I have more. Thank you. I missed the end of this. I'm going to read one more paragraph here. It will be Special Olympics Oklahoma Week in Stillwater, and I urge my fellow citizens to step forward and support Special Olympics Oklahoma. By contributing our support, we assist Special Olympics Oklahoma in providing year-round sports training and athletic competition to a variety of Olympic-type sports for children and adults with intellectual disabilities, giving them continuing opportunities to develop physical fitness, demonstrate courage, experience joy, and participate in a sharing of gifts, skills, and friendship with families and other Special Olympic athletes in the community. Thank you all. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support that the city gives us and also the community. We couldn't do this without community support, and it's amazing the support we get from the community. And also, Biff is here. I don't know if Biff was here for this tonight or not, but Biff Horrocks is the chairman of our Special Olympics Board. And so Biff is here too. And,
excellent.
Yeah, we're 6 athletes short of 5,500.
Wow.
And then about 1,700 coaches, and that's not counting the families and the volunteers that'll start rolling in next Wednesday. So it's here.
It's always a great event for Stillwater. We appreciate all the work that you all put into it. Let's take a picture real quick.
I didn't introduce you.
Here with you. That work? Awesome. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, that takes us to a proclamation on Foster Care Awareness Month. I think we have Angie from Payne County Youth Services and your team. Whereas the youth of the City of Stillwater are our most precious resource and hope for the future, all children deserve a safe, loving, and nurturing place to call home. And whereas foster families are unsung heroes that serve as the primary source of love, protection, and support to the abused and neglected children of Stillwater and Payne County. And whereas foster families who open their homes and hearts to children who are in crisis play a vital role in helping children and families heal, reconnect, thereby launching children towards a successful adulthood. And whereas there are approximately 9,600 children and youth in state custody in Oklahoma. And whereas there are numerous individuals and public and private organizations who work tirelessly to increase public awareness of the needs of children in foster care, as well as the enduring and valuable contribution of foster parents, and recognize that the foster care system is only as good as those who choose to be a part of it. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby declare May 2019 as Foster Care Month in the City of Stillwater and ask residents to consider extending their family to include fostering some of our most vulnerable children. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Angie with Payne County Youth Services. I'd like to say thank you to Mayor Joyce and our City Council for the proclamation and supporting the awareness of foster care this month. This is Brittany and Cassie. They actually run the program. They're wonderful, and anybody possibly interested, give them a call. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to Motorcycle Awareness Month. Mr. Irons is here on behalf of the Goldwing Road Riders. I think there's a few of you. I think you only get to come up if you've got the uniform, right?
She has it.
All right. Whereas safety is the highest priority for the highways and streets of our city and state, and whereas the state of Oklahoma and the city of Stillwater are proud to be leaders in motorcycle safety, education, and awareness, and whereas the membership of the Goldwing Road Riders Association, Chapter Oklahoma X of Stillwater, maybe that's 10? No, X, okay. Chapter X of Stillwater continually promotes motorcycle safety and awareness through its motto of Friends for Fun, Safety, and Knowledge. And whereas all motorcycles and vehicle drivers should actively promote motorcycle awareness at all times through safety, education, and respect for the citizens of our city and state. And whereas roadway users should at all times unite in the safe sharing of the roadways within the city of Stillwater and throughout the state of Oklahoma. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2019 in the City of Stillwater as National Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month and acknowledge the GWRRA Chapter OKX of Stillwater for their continued leadership role in motorcycle safety, education, and awareness. Thank you all.
Mayor, councilors, we'd like to thank you for having us down here. One of the big things that we do, we're Goldwing riders, so if you see us, we're not the Harley riders. So some of us have Harleys, that's okay. But, well, safety is always important, and it's something that we want to be able to do and make sure that anybody who drives a vehicle knows that there are people out there riding motorcycles and to be aware of them. And I think that you'll see on TV, especially this month, there's some commercials about being aware of motorcycles. So safety is our number one thing that we try to do. We have training that we do as motorcyclists and want to keep it safe for the city of Stillwater and all. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate your work.
Women in front.
Okay, and then we have a proclamation for National Bike and Bicycle Safety Month, and Mary Cash is here with the Red Dirt Peddlers.
Yes.
Thank you. Whereas the bicycle is a viable and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent form of recreation, and whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. And whereas the education of bicyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users. And whereas bicycling activities and attractions have great potential to have a positive impact on Oklahoma's economy and tourism industry and to stimulate economic development by making the state attractive to businesses and citizens who enjoy the outdoors and healthy lifestyles. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists, Red Dirt Peddlers, and Stillwater's Bicycle Club will be promoting bicycle safety and bicycling as a leisure activity, as well as an environmentally friendly alternative to the automobile during the month of May. And whereas all citizens are encouraged to support bicycling and participate in the events planned for the month of May, including the annual Bike to Work Week, May 11th through 17th, the annual Bike to Work Day on May 17th, and a Ride of Silence on May 15th. Now, therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim the week of May 11th through 17th, 2019, in the City of Stillwater as Bike to Work Week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you like to?
League of American Bicycle has been proclaiming May as Bike Month since World War II, so we're going on over 60 years of this, and we've been participating in it, and we're very happy to be part of it.
Excellent. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other causes we need to recognize for the month of May? Nobody else is on the agenda. We'll take it down to the consent docket on item 4 then. Counselors, questions, comments, or motions on the consent docket?
Mayor, I would like to remove item E from the consent docket, please.
We'll remove item E from the consent docket. Counselors, further questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to, go ahead. Go ahead.
Motion to approve the consent docket minus item E.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket minus item E. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket minus item E is approved. Okay, that takes us to public comment on agenda items not scheduled for public hearing. I think we have one of those signed up for the council meeting, and that would be Mr. Keith Reed to speak on, I think, the item that was just removed from the consent docket.
Yes. Does that mean I still get to speak or no?
It's all yours.
Okay. Thank you. Keith Reed, 523 West Knipe in Perkins, speaking as a member of BPAC. We would like to thank Council for your commitment to active transportation and the need to reassess transportation priorities to create a better Stillwater at the last council meeting. It was quite a meeting you had, and I managed to watch the entire thing in sessions, so thank you for that. That was a powerful step in a positive direction. We would also like to thank you for tonight's, at least I thought it was tonight's, discussion on the Husband Bike Corridor project. If designed and implemented as envisioned, this project has the potential to raise our standards considerably on how to create a community that is easily and safely navigated regardless of one's chosen mode of transportation. It is important to note that this project will only be as good as its weakest link. If not held to a high standard and built out as a complete facility according to today's best practices, it will almost certainly be a failure. Specifically, if crossing the 4 major intersections of 6th, Hall of Fame, Duck, and Boomer safely and efficiently are not given top priority, or if children still can't access Strickland Park, the project will simply not be utilized as intended. You've all gotten my email invites, I think, but I'll try this one more time. I would like to invite council and staff to hop on a bike and ride the proposed Husband Bike Corridor, so you'll all have a thorough understanding of the challenges. And to get the real experience, you need to do that this week before OSU lets out for the summer. And if you can't make that, at least get it done before Stillwater High School lets out for the summer, because the game changes at that point. I'll close a statement that was made just yesterday by a Canadian friend of mine, Melissa Bruntlett. She and her family recently moved from Vancouver to Delft, Netherlands, for jobs in the bicycle industry. Melissa states, "The great paradox of moving to a cycling city is we've never done more walking in our lives. Daily strolls made desirable because the streets of Delft aren't drowning in cars." A stroll. That hit me pretty strong. I think we could all use a little more stroll in our lives. We as members of BPAC stand willing and eager to work with you to seek to make Stillwater an active, thriving, and vibrant community. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Okay, that takes us to item 6 then, items removed from the consent docket. Vice Mayor Darlington, I don't know if you have specific questions or if we should just invite staff.
I would love to have, this is a really important project, and it's a kind of a game changer in how we do things with our transportation. And I would really like us to begin at this point to let the public see exactly what's going to happen or what's planned to happen. You know, we're learning that we need to get information out much sooner than we normally do and let people have an opportunity to absorb what's going on, ask questions, get used to the ideas, and I would really like a report on this, a public report, before we approve it.
Before we approve the contract or before we approve the project?
Well, I mean, I know this is just a contract approval, but I think this is an opportunity for more people to understand what we're even creating a contract for.
Two things. One, this conversation lends itself to remind people that there'll be a town hall meeting on June 10th about transportation issues, and transportation includes bicycles, sidewalks, those kinds of things. And it's at 5:30, Keith. You will receive a formal invitation. BPAC, public schools, and as I go through this list, I'll leave somebody out, but there are a number of groups that will be invited to that meeting. Number two, Monty Carnes is out tonight, and I was going to have Paula Dennison step in and speak to this issue, but probably we should just remove it until another meeting when we can formulate a complete report on it. And
Well, you know, it's scheduled to move ahead pretty quickly with kickoff meeting May 17th. And I think that one thing that I've felt over these last few months, year, is that we jump ahead too fast, and then we have to play catch up informing people.
I don't disagree with that at all. I like this contract, the contract for engineering services here, because it does kick off in May, but it kicks off with a study phase, a public involvement phase, and we're not looking even at a design report until July, and then a preliminary design in October. So my understanding of this was just to go ahead and get the process started so that we can have all that public input happening with the engineering firm who's going to be designing it. And so my understanding, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that we would just be approving the start of all of that public input and discussion happening.
Okay, I do understand that, and I do, I mean, I'm fine with getting it started. I just wanted to make it very public that this is starting, and to be looking for things, and that too often, especially items on the consent docket, just kind of go.
Sure.
And this is way too important to be on a consent docket and to be overlooked.
Yeah, I'm glad we're having the discussion as well. I think for those who may not even know the project we're talking about, I mean, this was a design project we talked about, gosh, a couple of months ago probably, that it was described as turning Husband Street, basically all the way from the high school across to Paula. Do you have some? You could maybe show a picture there.
Yes,
Excellent.
I certainly can. So when it comes up on the screen, the picture you will see is actually the northern part of the project, Boomer Road, and this is, the red line is Husband Street. This piece comes down to Hall of Fame to connect to the Kamioka Trail. It will have the connection to Strickland Park, as Keith mentioned, and it will continue south. The southern picture is picking up at Hall of Fame and taking Husband down to 6th Avenue. So this is quite an extensive project. We will be looking for members to serve on the steering committee, which is going to be the core group that will work with staff, the designers. There will be members of BPAC, which is the Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee. There will be a member or two from the Chamber's Infrastructure Committee that has actively been involved in infrastructure throughout this community for a number of years, and we'll be looking for other volunteers to come and want to serve and help the city get this project going and moving. And yes, this is the beginning of our public input and public initiative and citizen engagement.
And just to clarify, the project is described as really emphasizing bicycle and pedestrian traffic on that entire stretch of Husband. It will still be open to automobile traffic in certain areas, but you won't be able to drive from the high school to 6th Street on Husband without having to turn off or
turn around.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a major project and an entirely new sort of initiative for Stillwater. So we will absolutely have and need to have a ton of public input in it. And I was, like I said, happy to see within even the engineering contract that the engineers understand that we're doing all that for months before we even get to a design. So
Yes, and they have already gone through and identified some key intersections, stretches of Husband Street, and also the Husband Street Bridge that are going to be critical pieces within any design and input that we get from the community. And I'd be happy to answer anything else.
Sure.
Although I'm not Monty.
I do have a question on the budget layout, the pages that have the green heading.
Yes.
And on the public involvement, there are a number of items that the City of Stillwater will be handling.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious, would they normally be covered by the engineering associates?
This was one of the pieces that was part of the negotiation with the engineer after they were selected from the interview committee. Their proposal is a lot of the activities that our marketing and civic engagement staff are already doing and helping throughout the community. And so we were able to take on some of the financial burden of that so that the public engagement part, again, that the city is already doing, would not have an additional cost from the engineer.
Okay.
And there is additional funds. This is coming in under anticipated budget for the design component, so that does give us some leeway there also.
You know, it's just a theme that we've heard for a couple of years now, how we've pared down so much in so many departments, and everybody is doing everything that they possibly can right now, and then to add another very big project on top of that. I just want to make sure that it's really done, no corners cut.
That is staff's intent, and I'm sure it will be from the steering committee members that we have also.
Okay.
And they will play a large part in the public engagement and civic engagement process as well.
Who is that?
The steering committee.
Okay. To which people can volunteer?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
is there a specific process for appointing the committee at this point?
Not at this point, not yet. We were waiting until after tonight so we could have that conversation with the design engineer.
Thank you, Paula.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Further
Motion-
questions or comments?
Not for me. Motion to accept item E.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item E off the consent docket. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the item is approved. All right. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for bringing that up. I think you're right. That was a conversation that needed to happen.
Uh-huh.
All right, that takes us to item 7, public hearings. Item A on public hearings, receive public comment regarding a request for specific use permit at property addressed as 520 South Jardo Road to allow a medical marijuana dispensary in the CG Commercial General Zoning District. This is CC-19-52. Mr. Dormer, did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Dennison?
Yes, thank you. This is once again a request for a medical marijuana dispensary. The property is located at 520 South Jardo. Jardo in this picture is running north-south. 6th Avenue or Highway 51 is running east-west. And the southern portion of this building is the property in question. And this is a street view. This, again, is the southern portion of the building that is being asked to be used for the medical marijuana dispensary. They have met the requirements of the state. They have obtained their state's dispensary license, and they can accommodate the parking on property. Be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Counselors, any questions? Does anybody know how many this is for us?
Yeah, how many just made?
What number are we on?
We have 17 applications Those tonight, and there are some that are scheduled for the June 3rd meeting, and that will accommodate all 17 dispensaries.
And we have no power to say that's enough, or?
No, sir.
The state gives us very little leeway when it comes to approving these applications.
Yes, sir.
All right. Counselors, at this time, I will open the public hearing on this item. I think we have, let me see. No, we have someone signed up for a different one of these. So there's no one to speak on this item, so I'll close the public hearing. And I will ask you, Paula, for Planning Commission recommendation.
Planning Commission recommends approval by unanimous 4-0 vote.
Thank you. Counselors, comments, questions, or motions?
Motion to approve the request for a special use permit at 520 South Jardo Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item A. Please vote. With a vote of 3-2, the item is approved. Takes us to item B, receive public comment regarding a request for a specific use permit at property addressed as 1439 Southwestern Road to allow a healthcare and social assistance use, a dental office, in the CS Commercial Shopping Zoning District. This is CC-19-53. Mr. Dorman, do we have good notice on this item?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Dennison.
Yes, thank you. The property, as you can see, is located on the new portion of Fountain Square that's along Western Avenue south of 12th. 12th is running right up here at the very top of the page. Western is running north-south, about splitting the middle. The two parcels are what are outlined in the hatched area in the commercial shopping zoning district. And once again, this is an extension of the Fountain Square development. The healthcare and social assistance, which does include dental office, requires the specific use permit in the CS zoning district. This is a view of the property when it was just being platted, and this is some of the infrastructure work that has already been going on the property. So they are anxious to get started. Be happy to answer any questions.
Counselors? I had a question about the parking. Are they just sharing the lot on the rest of Fountain Square, or is there additional parking that's being built in front of those offices?
There is additional parking. I can't recall if it is in the front or in the back of the property, but there is ample parking within the existing Fountain Square development, as well as City Code allows for the sharing when you have multiple uses on a single parcel, in essence, a single development.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point, I will open the public hearing, and we have no one signed up to speak on this item, so I will close that public hearing and ask for Planning Commission recommendation.
Planning Commission recommends this with a unanimous 3-0 vote.
Thank you, Paula. Counselors, questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve the specific use permit at 1439 Southwestern Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item B. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the specific use permit is approved. Takes us to item C, receive public comment regarding a request to close the south 5 feet of a 10-foot electrical easement located on the property addressed as 423 South Gray Street. This is CC-19-54. Mr. Dorman, did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Dennison.
Thank you again. This property is located on the east side of Gray Street. This is one that has come before you previously for the specific use permit for the multi-tenant in a single-family structure, the 2-story, the large houses. They are coming in at this point in time and asking to close, as you can see indicated on the screen, the southern 5 feet of an existing 10 feet electric easement. The purpose for that is the street light that you can see in the picture is within this 5 foot, and electric utility only needs a 5 foot easement for the street lights. So that gives that additional 5 feet on the south side of the existing easement for them to be able to utilize for development. Be happy to answer any questions that you have. There are no issues from staff.
Any questions, counselors? I will open this public hearing. We do have a speaker signed up, Mr. Gose. Stephen?
Paula, a quick break. Stephen Gose and Associates, 113 East 8th Avenue. Here on behalf of the applicant to answer any questions. Paula covered it, just trying to clean up an old easement that was too wide and can be skinnier. So, questions?
Any questions for Stephen?
We like skinny.
Yeah, me too, but too bad. Public hearing doesn't work for me. So,
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Paula, is there a recommendation on this item?
Yes, staff
Oh,
is the one that
before I-
recommends.
Before I hear that, I'm going to close the public hearing officially and then ask you for the recommendation.
Thank you. Staff recommends approval of this request.
Councilors, questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to accept the staff recommendation to close the south 5 feet of the 10-foot easement
Second.
at
Nope.
at 423
Sorry.
South Gray.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve item C. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that item is approved. Takes us to item D, receive public comment regarding a request for a specific use permit at property addressed as 3930 West 6th Avenue to allow a medical marijuana dispensary in the CG Commercial General Zoning District. This is CC-19-55. Mr. Dorman, do we have good notice?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Paula?
Yes, thank you again. This property is located on the north side of Highway 51 or 6th Avenue West. This is in the development known as Kobe Plaza, just west of Western. So you can see the hatched area is a portion of the existing building that has multiple bays in it. And the proposal is about right in the middle of all of the bays that are existing out there in the current structure. And again, this is for a medical marijuana dispensary. There is adequate parking. As you can see, there's signage already. They'll be looking at possibly a sign on the building as the other entities have, and they do have their state license. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, councilors? All right, I will open this public hearing. We don't have anyone signed up to speak on this topic, so I'll close it and ask for the Planning Commission's recommendation on this item.
Planning Commission does recommend unanimous approval, 4-0.
Councilors?
Motion to approve the specific use permit for 3930 West 6th Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item D. Please vote. With a vote of 3-2, the item is approved. Takes us to item E, receive public comment regarding a specific use permit at property addressed as 1930 North Jardo Road to allow medical marijuana commercial grower facility in the IL Light Industrial Zoning District. This is CC-19-56. Mr. Dorman, did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Dennison?
Yes, thank you. This property is located on North Jardo. If we went further on up, we would be coming up on Lakeview, and this is on the west side. The property is going to be in this portion of the existing building. This has previously been used as warehousing, and so they have a permit to remodel this facility and convert it to the grow operation. Again, they have their state license and they meet the other parking and signage requirements. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, councilors?
Not a question now, but I think it is important to recognize that the commercial growing facilities don't have a distance requirement from schools, although it does meet the 1,000 feet by a few feet.
Yes, it does. That, as we understand and have found in our research of the state law and the rules that have been put into place, it's dispensaries that have the 1,000-foot separation from schools, whether they be public or private schools.
All right, I will, at this point, open the public hearing. We do have a speaker signed up, Mr. Ryan Brosnahan.
Hi, I'm Ryan Brosnahan, 920 South Murphy Street in Stillwater. I am the applicant, and I'm the founder of the company. I'm here to answer any questions you guys might have about the SUP.
All right, thank you for being here. Councilors, any questions? I think we're good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. Paula, what was the Planning Commission recommend? I'm going to close the public hearing. Almost forgot that again. What was the Planning Commission's recommendation on this item?
They also are recommending unanimous approval 4-0.
Councilors,
Motion to approve the specific use permit at property address 1930 North Jardo Road to allow a medical marijuana commercial grower facility.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve item E. Please vote. With a vote of 3-2, that item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that takes us down to item 8, general orders. Sub-item A, update on the Prairie Arts Center operations from Dr. Rebecca Breenan.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Breenan. Can you hear me now?
So.
Good.
Yep.
I live at 4802 South Wild Turkey Pass Drive. And thank you for having me on your agenda this evening. It's good to see you all. I think I spoke to you last about 2 years ago when OSU basically it was agreed upon that OSU would take over management of the former Multi-Arts Center. In any event, I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on what we've been doing for the last almost 2 years. This is OSU's second year of operating the Prairie Arts Center, and I believe it's been very successful. We're very proud of our partnership with the city, and we feel like we have been quite successful in our mission to encourage the exploration of art and to promote creativity to all skill ages and skill levels. I'm very fortunate to have 3 full-time, highly skilled staff members at Prairie Arts. Megan Brossel, who's here tonight, and Liz Duick, who's our arts education coordinator, and Missy Kaiser, who's our administrative assistant. And I should really give great credit to Megan for being my boots on the ground person. As the head of the art department at OSU, I donate my time to Prairie Arts as the director, but she is really the one who is, I have to give a great credit to. We employ over 10 artist instructors from the community to teach a variety of classes, including Mo Wassel and Kim Bryant, both of whom are here tonight. So I'm also greatly grateful to them for teaching classes and also just being wonderful contributors to the community that we're building at Prairie Arts. So I just want to give you a few facts and figures. I'm sorry, I won't try to take up too much time, but I actually have a lot to say, so please bear with me. As of December 2018, we had 182 members at Prairie Arts, and that membership number continues to grow. We run an art shop in the lobby of the Art Center, and it features new and used art supplies. And these sales both support our programming, but also support our scholarship fund. We also offer nonprofit memberships, which allow groups from Stillwater specifically to reserve meeting space up to 4 times a month, and that's for free. We run pop-up art shops, which support our community artists. And that's really been an important venue for them. And since May 2018, when we started that project, we've had 68 artists who've participated in those art pop-up shops, and we've had over 1,000 visitors come, pass through our doors to browse and also buy from those artists. As an OSU-run community arts center, we provide free activities and events for children and adults by working with our local organizations and with the OSU Museum of Art and with the OSU Art Department. But of course, in addition to those free activities, we provide a very wide variety of art classes, not all offered at the same time, but just to give you just a brief overview: youth pottery, beginning pottery, instructional open studio, which is also in our ceramics studio, screen printing, children's cooking classes, painting, life and still life drawing, jewelry making, basket weaving, pastel portrait and landscape classes, and yarn dyeing. The dark room is open for members, for use by members with experience in photography, and Prairie Arts members may reserve space in the building for their own independent projects. In 2018, we enrolled over 500 children in our youth programs, and our adult programs enrolled over 460 students. Last year, we greatly expanded our service to the community by providing space and programming to a number of local and state organizations. We are the permanent location of the Stillwater Farmers Market. The Stillwater Art Guild meets at our facility once a month, and they provide art demos that are open to the community. Maya's Promise, which is a local organization that serves children with special needs and their families. We offer 4 projects a month for Maya's Promise participants between September, November, and January and April. The Stillwater Arts and Humanities Council, of which I am the vice president, we all wear many hats in this community. We have our monthly meeting at the Arts Center. The Society for Creative Anachronism has a weekly meeting. We do programming with the Stillwater Group Homes and with the Grand Lake Mental Health Center. We supported the Stillwater PTA by offering a series of workshops to develop projects for students who are participating in the PTA Reflections program. We are part of the downtown Stillwater Cultural District, which I'm also very proud of, which includes the OSU Museum of Art, Medela Gallery, the Stillwater Community Center, and the Stillwater Public Library. And we also partner with the Stillwater Public Library to provide workshops and support their programs, including the One Community, the One Book program, and Lexicon. We work with the public schools. So we are providing workshops free on a regular basis and programming. Sometimes they're also paying us a little bit for our, particularly for the materials. And we also participate in their open houses and fundraising events. We provide service to state arts organizations. We hosted a big fiber arts workshop, which trained members of the Oklahoma Art Education Coalition, and we had over 30 artists from around the state who came to Prairie Arts and were trained in this special workshop. This summer, we will host Oklahoma Visual Arts Coalition's traveling exhibition, which is called 24 Works on Paper. And just this March, we exhibited work from the Junior Young Talent in Oklahoma, which is a statewide middle school arts competition. As part of our service to OSU and to the community, we are the location for all of the OSU Museum of Art's workshops and public programming. These are all things which are open to the community and free to the public. That's also the same for the art department's visiting artists. They do all of their public art programming at Prairie Arts, also free of charge. We are continuing to do fundraising on a small scale. We sold pumpkins from our Artful Pumpkin Patch in October, and recently we did our Sundays on Sunday fundraiser, during which we sold over $800 worth of handmade bowls to support scholarships and programming. Looking forward, we would like to add new equipment to the Art Center, such as new pottery wheels to support our growing ceramics program. In addition, we would like to replace some aging equipment. We don't currently have a budget for that at this time. Nonetheless, we greatly appreciate the support provided to the center by OSU and by the City of Stillwater, of course. And we look forward to another successful year starting in our fiscal year of July 1st.
Excellent. Thank you for all that information. We appreciate it. Councilors?
Oh, it sounds exhausting.
I'm sorry, it was kind of a lot. So do you have any questions for me?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you. The range of activities that you have provided for the community and the ages you serve, thank you for that, because I think that was lacking before, and so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. My family uses Prairie Arts Center often. I'm there with the Maya's Promise group. We really appreciate your guys' openness to serving the community and all facets of the community. We've really enjoyed the changes there and the services you guys are providing. Thank you.
Yeah, just to highlight the partnership with OSU on this project. I mean, this was kind of an experiment when we decided to go this direction a couple years back, with the university picking up the tab really for your staff, and I know the university's investing a couple $100,000 really into the facility at this point, which is I think a benefit for them certainly in terms of having this program, but also a huge benefit to our community and something as we go forward. I think when we renew or look at renewing this contract next year, we will certainly consider those numbers and kind of look and see how this partnership can continue. Because from my standpoint, like I said, it was an experiment to see how it went, and we've certainly, I think, seen great results and just a great example of what the city and the university can do together when we're willing to sit down and work it out and figure out how the benefits can be shared. So thank you for all that work that you've done.
Well, thank you, and I have to say, we really love it. Like, I mean, I feel like we're making a difference, and I really feel like it's become this like wonderful community, site for engagement and for exchange. So we're very grateful to have had the opportunity and look forward to developing this partnership in the future.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. I have found your staff to be very helpful.
Yes,
also.
they're great.
Thank you all for being here. Okay, that takes us to item 8B. This is a presentation of an OSU senior design project for the south entrance of the community center. I think Mr. Beckstrom, you're going to lead this show for us.
It's Jim Beckstrom, 2218 West 4th Avenue, and the student team. And their Professor Homer sitting down, smiling, proud of her young team here, and so am I. All these students here, and this is just a small representation of an interdisciplinary team that involved architects, mechanical engineers, and civil engineers. This is a new program that started at OSU this year, and I think this team demonstrates why we're doing this, because we can create value. It's a great learning experience, which I think they will all attest, and it also reflects kind of what life is all about, which is pulling together different disciplines to make great things happen. And I think what they've got to say is a great story, and I want to thank them because they actually signed up for this. So yeah, they're going to get a grade. Actually, in about a week or so, you're going to get a grade if you do this. A good job tonight. So anyway. But they signed up for this. This was that we sent out a questionnaire, and students kind of signed up for projects, and so they took this on under their own volition. They didn't have to do this, and the passion and the work they did is just really inspiring, and I just have great appreciation for them and Professor Homer. I'm wearing two hats on this. One is as the Director of Interdisciplinary Design at OSU, so I kind of helped orchestrate some of these interdisciplinary teams. The other hat I'm wearing is Vice Chairman of the Stillwater Community Center Foundation. This is all about the Stillwater Community Center, and the foundation's, our mantra is accessibility, affordability, and sustainability, and these students took that to heart, and I think what you're going to hear from them is a product that hits all those very, very well. And access is a serious constraint at the Stillwater Community Center. For those of you that have been there during large events, it is extremely difficult for people that are mobility challenged to get into that facility. And if it's raining, there's no way to get into that facility dry. Not even kind of dry. You're going to get wet getting into Stillwater Community Center, and these folks all address that. They also looked at an elevator, so you're going to hear something about an elevator and the mechanical alterations that make that happen. So with that, I'm going to hand the microphone over to this wonderful team of students, and I think, John, you're the first one up, I believe. Okay. Starts with architecture, so over to them. I'm out.
Where's the video? Should be right here. Okay, we're going to play a quick video first to kind of get everybody oriented on the project first, and then we will go into our presentation. So.
Pause it right now. There's no volume coming out. Is there volume attached to the TVs at all?
There should be.
Can you turn up on the system?
Here it is. Okay.
While the community center and its services benefit the city of Stillwater, there are complications with the existing building layout that make it difficult on visitors with ADA requirements. The existing dedicated ADA parking is currently in poor proximity to the north by the entrance. south lobby entrance area is also lacking direct ADA access. The second floor of the community center is also currently unused with a significant amount of space, making it ideal for additional services. However, this area is not ADA accessible to the public and therefore cannot be utilized. Additionally, the HVAC system that currently supplies the south meeting room and south lobby entrance is insufficient for hot summer days. As well, the existing south lobby entrance only has one supply vent to accommodate for 2 double doors, and typically there's a dedicated vent per door. However, we believe these issues are resolvable. This work-based process has been laid out in order to make our solution both attainable and economically feasible. As an immediate solution, we address the ADA accessibility issue in the north parking lot. This provides additional ADA parking spots and accompanying curb cut to ensure easy and immediate access to the north lobby entry. Following phase 0, we propose a new ADA accessible route to the south lobby entrance directly from the parking lot and lunchroom hall. This new ramp is designed to invite and pull visitors to the south lobby entrance, where visitors can opt to utilize the adjacent stairs. An all-weather canopy above the ramp is provided for protection to visitors being dropped off or entering from the parking lot. The next phase includes the addition of vestibule and supply vent to the south lobby entrance to decrease the amount of square footage serviced by the HVAC system, which has been upsized to a 5-ton 16-seater unit. The final phase includes the addition of an elevator in order to provide ADA access to the second floor. The elevator location we have selected also connects the currently separated east and west wings at the second floor landing. The Stillwater Community Center is a vibrant cornerstone of the community, which will benefit greatly from its efforts. We hope the solutions that we presented will encourage and spark inspiration for providing the community center and its guests with these improvements.
Yeah, so, that's not ours. Okay, sorry.
I don't know if you guys want to hold this or play with this. It's just a 3D printed model of it, and we can just pass it around. This is removable. You know, the 3D printer prints in layers, so these are not steps.
Yeah. So as the video said, there's a lot of great uses for the community center, and currently there is one ADA access entry into the community center, and it is on the far north side, about currently over 100 feet away from where the current ADA parking is available. And we kind of saw that, and we thought that that was a little bit of a problem. Because currently, right now, you can see that the parking lot, which includes some of the ADA parking, is on the south side of the building. And then we have a little bit of ADA parking on the east side of the building. The visitor drop-off is on this south corner that meets here, and there's a bus drop-off there. But as you can see, there are 5 spots around the building that have these signs that say no ADA accessibility. We hope to kind of fix that a little bit, at least. Our project spans between the 3 existing buildings. Well, they're all one building, but they kind of act as 3. So it spans between the 3 different parts of the building, connecting them both for ADA accessibility and for those who need to like move tables and chairs, making the whole management of the building a little bit easier. So we've broke it down into 4 phases. Phase 0 being the smallest, probably what should be done first, unless you jump straight into phase 1, which is adding a little bit of ADA accessibility to the north side, which Ethan will talk about.
So phase 0, what that actually is it's to help bolster the immediate ADA parking. As you can see on the top picture, that is the east side of the building where you have 88, I believe 5 or 6 ADA parking spots. For phase 0, we're proposing to add a small curb cut on the north side parking to help eliminate the very long distance that people are coming there for ADA access. If we put something right there along the front side of the doors on the north side, it cuts the travel distance by about 125 feet. This would just be a very small city project, something very small scale could probably be done by a small crew, probably done by the city, whomever y'all see fit. We didn't necessarily do a full cost analysis due to the scale of this particular phase, but we estimated about $2,000 and maybe about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the type of construction crew that is chosen and the methods that they decide to implement. So, portion of phase 1 is reconfiguring the parking lot. On the left side, you can see the existing parking lot. Where it says the drop-off, it's going in the wrong direction. So whenever people come off the bus on the right-hand side, they have to cross in front of traffic to get into the dining hall. And that's a big issue, especially for those that are just those that actually have ADA requirements. It's, once again, crossing traffic. That could be moving buses, vehicles, whatever, someone not paying attention. So we're trying to include that safety there. Additionally, the parking lot itself is very closed off. It's rather spacious as it is now, but it's not a very effective use of the space. So what we're ending up to propose is we're going to reverse the traffic flow, have the bus drop off right at the entrance of the ramp of the ramp system. We're also going to reconfigure the traffic flow from the east side, comes down. You can either go along the dark green line with the bus route and come on into the south row and just find a parking spot on through there. Within talking with the contractor in the last few weeks of our project, he had estimated very generously about 5 to 6 months of construction time, and using RS means and vendor values, we came up with the estimated cost of this phase for about $325,000.
Another major part of Phase 1 is actually providing that ramp access and the canopy covering. This will provide a spot for the bus to drop people off while they're covered, and then they can make their way into the building accessibility while being accessible. They don't need to go up some weird lift. They don't need to go around the building to be able to get inside the building. So this is what it currently looks like. And this is what we are proposing. We propose this because it not only provides the ramp up, but the ramp becomes a focal point, and this becomes a focal point of the entire building altogether. This would provide seating area for those who are waiting to be picked up, or seating area if you just want to go outside and read, a little bit of greenery. It provides a nice calming space at the front of the building. Here's a couple more views and a couple of real-life ways that it has been done before. We're not proposing that the stairs be small enough that people can walk up, because we spoke with a couple of people who are ADA compliant or reliant, and they suggested that we raised it so people with a white cane have an edge to hit as they're walking up the ramp. Which we thought was a great addition to the overall flow. Phase 2.
Thank you. Looking at Phase 2, we are interested in upgrading the south lobby entrance. Currently, as you see here, the user entering the door is the closest side to the visitor drop-off location. This is the existing HVAC system, and you'll see that the supply vent is only above one door. Typically, there's one per door. So what we look to add here in the new HVAC system is the added supply vent highlighted in yellow, as well as a vestibule. With the addition of a vestibule, it will reduce the amount of square footage that's required by the HVAC system to service. So by reducing that square footage, we reduce required tonnage and therefore reduce required cost. Looking at the elevator location before, this just shows the existing first and second floor conditions. We are interested in the center stairwell. This is going to be the location for the elevator. This is crucial because this location allows us to connect between the east and west wing second floors, which are currently separated. So we'll add some color to this, and you'll see now the red is the west wing and the blue is the east wing. And for the men's restroom, the stairwell on the second floor, that shared wall is what we're interested in. That's the connecting point to maximize the use of this elevator. And we see here the addition of the elevator and the connected second floor space. With this single elevator, we can accomplish the job of two elevators. Instead of having to have one per space, we can then combine these with this single elevator by that second floor elevator landing. This is about an 8-foot by 14-foot circulation space, and that provides that connection for fire evacuation egress. As well, Phase 3 looks into providing exterior elevator entrance and new stairs as a future option. This is just because the second floor in its current state is unused, so we don't really have an idea, and a possibility is that there could be some residential dwellings on that second floor, so we look to provide 24-hour access for potential residents, as well as stairs in case the elevator undergoes maintenance. It's just a convenience thing. And as you can see, the phase 3 time estimate is about 7 to 8 months. That is pulled from the company Kone, or Cone Elevator. I'm not quite sure how you say it, but that is their time frame for elevator install. That does not require the amount of time required to bring the second floor up to operable conditions to build the hoistway, because the hoistway has to be built before the elevator company can install. It's a process, and we estimated that to be $359,000. And the yellow just shows that connecting space on the second floor. This is our final slide, just to show again the summary of the phases. An important thing to note for these phases is that you don't have to have immediate $724,000 funding. Each phase is separate and independent of each other, so they can be done in any order. It's flexible. And as well, there's just a quick summary bullet point on the effect of daily SEC operations, just to cover that. And I believe that's it. But again, the Stillwater Community Center is a vibrant cornerstone of the community, and it is, we believe with these solutions and ideas that we presented that we could provide or hopefully spark and influence some sort of inspiration in helping these ADA concerns at the SCC.
One last quick thing. I'm John Fisher, the architect on the architect on the project. This is Sam Cargo, one of the mechanical engineers, and this is Ethan Stringer, one of the civil engineers on the project. I'm sorry for not introducing us sooner.
Just going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, though.
Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I'd just start off by saying thank you for the work you've done on this. This is quite an extensive project, especially for a class project, really. So we certainly appreciate all the work that's gone into it. It's certainly addresses real needs that the community has, and seems to provide pretty creative solutions to those needs. Councilors, any questions at this point?
Well, as someone who spent her 7th grade year going to school there,
Oh, really? Okay.
it is neat to see what could be, and God, I wish I could win the lottery to get that.
Yeah.
What I liked about the project was that you did break it down in phases.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it a little bit more digestible. It also allows, if we are going to do changes at some point, if we, to think about it in parts and what would make the most sense for that.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the fact that you guys all collaborated together and really did a very thorough project. I was looking at this earlier, and just appreciate that you took the time to do that.
Well, we really appreciated the project, and we did create some preliminary construction documents, which we'll hand over to the city, just to show that there is constructability, or to show the proof of constructability by the construction documents.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Anything further, councilors?
Do they get an A+?
Yeah.
Do we get the grade? I guess in sort of keeping with our prior theme about OSU city collaborations, it's a tremendous value to have students and professors and programs at the university that can kind of provide this kind of service to the city.
It's amazing.
I mean, that just
Yeah.
those ideas and plans, there's a lot of economic value to being able to have those to sort of start off that conversation with. So good cooperation. All right. That takes us to item 9, reports from officers and boards. Mr. Dorman.
Request an executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307B2 to discuss labor negotiations with Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 102.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. McNichol.
Yes, sir. Thank you. May 5th through 11th is Drinking Water Week. This week, we encourage you to consider the significant role drinking water has in your life. Only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy. Future generations depend on us to be stewards of our water resources and infrastructure, and our Stillwater Water Departments eagerly accept this responsibility. I would also thank the news press for running an article on we had a company here in town that was distributing flyers around in different neighborhoods indicating that the water was contaminated and that they had reports. Well, so does the city of Stillwater. All water has some contaminants in it. The finest spring water you can find has some contaminants in it. So I would encourage you, before you make any kind of large purchase at your home, to take a look at the reports that we publish routinely at stillwater.org on the water quality.
All right, thank you. Councilor Zanotti.
Yes, we are happy to announce the U.S. Census Bureau recognized the Payne County Complete Count Committee as a proud partner of the U.S. 2020 Census. We received a certificate of recognition from the federal department a couple weeks ago. The city of Stillwater is working with our fellow Payne County cities, community organizations, business leaders, educational institutions, and county leadership to ensure we get a complete count of every Payne County resident on April 1st, 2020. Learn more about our efforts and how you can play a part at paynecountycensus.org.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes, this is a friendly reminder to always look for the timed parking signs before parking in a spot, particularly downtown. We want to make sure we have parking available for all our guests who are visiting areas like downtown Stillwater, Campus Corner, the Strip on Washington Street. If the unfortunate circumstance occurs that you get a ticket while shopping or dining in these areas, please bring it to the merchant you visited for a free parking validation. Thank you, above all, for supporting our local businesses.
Absolutely. Councilor Wedlake.
Yes, sir. We'd like to welcome the following new team members to the City of Stillwater. Alexandra Carnline to Police Dispatcher 1. I'm going to butcher this one. Seamal Tasky for Airport Operations Specialist. Megan Alexander, a new Airport Operations Specialist. Jason Tyler, Wastewater Treatment Plant Superintendent. And Madison Ball, Customer Service Representative. Welcome to the team.
Thank you. Councilor Jaloski.
Yes, help us kick off our Summer in Stillwater events at the First Friday Food Trucks and Tunes event of the year on Friday, May 17th. Join us at Block 34 in downtown Stillwater from 6 to 10 p.m. for some of Stillwater's most popular food trucks, live music, and more. We'll also have a touch a truck. Wow, I have a lot of those, like TTT, SSS. It's like tricky.
Can you say that?
I know. No, I can't
Okay,
say that. A touch a truck exhibit for children is part of our Public Works Week celebration. Entrance to the event is free.
Is Touch a Truck only open to the children?
Oh, I don't know. I bet we
Those trucks are pretty
could
cool.
probably touch the trucks
Hopefully.
too. I bet so.
Climb in those things. All right. To assist students moving out of town, which we hate to see, if you don't have to, stay in Stillwater. But if you are moving out of town, we are offering free drop-offs for electronics and bulk items at the Convenience Collection Center now through June 29th. Accepted items include furniture, appliances without Freon, mattresses, computers, televisions, and stereos. Please bring your valid OSU ID, and more details are available on our website at stillwater.org. All right, that takes us to appointments. Item 11, we have 2 appointments that were made to the Rural Water Advisory Board of J. Bryce Campbell and Kent Bradley. I think our role here is to accept those appointments.
You nominate them.
Well, we're nominating them, and those are the 2 nominations that have been made. I will nominate them formally as members of the Rural Water Advisory Board.
Second.
And we have a nomination and a second to those 2 new members of the Rural Water Advisory Board. Please vote. Vote of 5-0. They are now on the Rural Water Advisory Board. Thank you, Bryce and Kent, for your service. All right. At this point, I will recess the Stillwater Community, what is this thing? The City Council meeting.
Where are we?
I'll recess the City Council meeting at this time and call to order the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting. As soon as I find that agenda. There it is. I got it. It's too much paper. All right. Item 2 on the consent dockets. Trustees for the Stillwater Utility Authority meeting. Motions, comments, or questions on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that item is approved. Those items are approved. That takes us down to general orders. On item A, Rural Water Advisory Board Annual Report from Mr. Robert Sitton.
You want me to formally do it, or you all have it?
We have the written report. If you're fine with that, you don't want to add anything, that's fine with us. I'd love to hear a little bit about the Rural Water Advisory Board.
I'd love to tell you. Robert Sitton Jr., don't live in the city of Stillwater, live out rurally. And since the city of Stillwater has purchased our water corp, then we have made a advisory board. So that way we can be heard by the city from members outside the city limits. And so we play a role in working with the Water Utilities Board as to what's going on in our area, helping improve. You all did us a gracious thing by purchasing our water corp. We appreciate that. You all have taken on the big role of expanding it, making it better with your 2040 budget or 24 expansion, and we appreciate that. My report is to you all as to what and why we do it is at the time that we were purchased, there was one counselor that thought about selling off parts of it. And I'm an advocate for the elderly, and I didn't want somebody's grandma being down at the very end of the water system getting shabby water. And so I got involved to make sure that the city of Stillwater does what they're contracted to do to give us good service. And the city has, I think, gone above and beyond their duty in some instances, and we applaud them for that. You all have very good employees within the water department that are very adverse to doing what they need to do when they need to do it, sometimes working 96 hours straight. There was a complication a few years back in rebuilding a water supply system, and they worked around the clock 96 hours. And some of the men were so dedicated that they stayed on that project until it was completed, and those residents got water. And we appreciate that. Any questions?
Trustees? We appreciate the report. The written report's got a lot of information in it
Very
and
good.
some recommendations as well. And we'll be sure to take those into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that takes us to reports from officers and boards. Mr. Dorman.
Nothing to report tonight, sir.
Mr. McNichol.
No item, sir.
Trustees,
No item.
is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn the Utilities Authority meeting?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the Utilities Authority meeting. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Utilities Authority is now adjourned. I will now call to order the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting for May 6th. I just realized that there's no gavel up here. I don't, I mean, I think the whole thing doesn't count if there's no gavel, right? Is that?
You can
Let the
try it.
hazing begin.
I don't really understand why we have a gavel in the first place, but anyway, we're called to order, gavel or not. On the consent docket, trustees, motions or comments?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. Oh, there it is. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. That takes us to public comment on agenda items not scheduled for public hearing. We do have a couple of folks signed up for this portion of the meeting. First is Daryl Whitworth.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, city staff. My name is Daryl Whitworth, and I reside at 2146 Lightstone in Fredericksburg, Texas. So while I may be the farthest journey this evening, the reason I'm up here is that I was in town this week for the Oklahoma Tourism Conference, which is taking place in Oklahoma City. A little bit about myself and the company I represent and whom I've worked with Visit Stillwater. I am a 22-year veteran of the tourism industry, focusing primarily on destination marketing, and I currently hold the designation of a certified tourism executive. I work for a small company out of Tucson that specializes in tourism marketing. We work with about 40 different states and 900 different cities, communities, and other tourism related throughout the nation. For the past 4 years, I've had the opportunity to work with Visit Stillwater. We began our arrangement, our partnership, back in 2014 through the Oklahoma Travel Industry Association's cooperative marketing program, whereby we provided digital marketing and lead generation for Stillwater and other Oklahoma destinations. Beginning in July of 2017, we executed a custom digital marketing campaign for Stillwater. The company I represent, Madden, we do custom digital marketing campaigns throughout the nation. We are a digital agency that specializes in tourism. Once we began that arrangement in 2017, we have continued to provide custom digital marketing services for Visit Stillwater. What I'd like to do tonight is just share a little bit of information about what we do for them, what kind of activities we provide on their behalf, and just a brief insight into the tourism marketing industry at this point. So some of the projects we've been doing for them are prospecting and remarketing display advertising using custom demographic, behavioral, and location-based parameters. We have provided search engine marketing via Google pay-per-click with keyword terms changing monthly. We've done content creation and distribution utilizing native advertising platforms through our amplified storytelling. We provided social media targeting and click-to-site ads via sponsored posts that frequently receive additional value-added engagements. And we've also done video distribution regarding the monthly Visit Stillwater video. Just to give you a little bit of results in the past 10 months since we executed our current contract, we've driven over 17,400 clicks directly to visitstillwater.com. We've provided over 1.6 million remarketing impressions to people interested in visiting Stillwater. We've had over 11,400 clicks specifically to the Visit Stillwater site from our Facebook platform. And in the video views, just in 10 months alone, we've delivered over 126,000 video views to the Visit Stillwater videos. Now, one thing I would like to share about this and some of the information I've seen regarding what's been going on is that 81% of these clicks that we have driven for Visit Stillwater come from outside of Oklahoma. All of our targeting, all of our parameters, everything we are working for on their behalf through behavioral, contextual, etc., is targeted to the primary drive markets outside. For example, the main DMAs that the Facebook clicks come from are Dallas-Fort Worth #1, Houston #2. So I see I'm out of time. So
feel free to finish your thought.
All right, it's not too much, then, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Just as one thing, in the big picture, the current destination marketing arena is not as straightforward as it used to be. The days of calling the local chamber of commerce and requesting a printed visitor guide are long gone. Today's traveler has significant information available with the phone that they carry in their hand, accessing hotel deals, peer reviews, and social media input. In this current tourism landscape, it is important to have a DMO curating the destination's brand, building awareness of a city, inspiring people to visit, and providing services to travelers and groups who need assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have Willie Baker signed up. I don't know, Mr. Baker, if you want to hold your time for later, we could probably chat after we get through this. All right. That's okay with you, right, Mr. Roman?
No problem.
All right. That takes us down to, I guess, 5A, general orders. Receive report from the city manager on request for qualification for destination marketing and possible selection of firm or other action on destination marketing for fiscal year 2020. This is SEDA-19-02. Looks like Mr. McNichol is going to join us at the podium.
I have a PowerPoint at the end of this, so someone's got to operate this. If you'll give me just a second. Okay. A couple of disclaimers before I start here. There's probably not a soul left in this room tonight that has not read this report, and we could probably cut some of this short, but for the folks who are watching on TV, in an effort to synopsize what has been a reasonably lengthy process, I'm going to read a portion of this report. So, July of 2018, Stillwater Economic Development Authority and Visit Stillwater agreed to engage in an accounting firm to review Visit Stillwater financial performance under the service agreement. SEDA and Visit Stillwater established mutually acceptable review criteria or agreed upon procedures. SEDA representatives subsequently met with the accounting firm to confirm understanding of the engagement of the parties involved. SEDA then published destination marketing requests for qualifications on October 25th, 2018, that outlines Stillwater's current use of a Convention and Visitors Bureau destination marketing organization. The RFQ stated that the city understands the importance of promoting activities, events, and opportunities to extend the stay of visitors, increase the infusion of visitors, market unique opportunities for visitor spending, and demonstrate an appropriate return on investment. We received 11 submissions. They were evaluated by city staff, 2 members of the community. Companies scoring in top 3, along with Visit Stillwater, were extended an invitation for an in-person interview. Those interviews were with the following 3 companies. VI Marketing and Branding. VI is an Oklahoma City-based marketing firm. VI is currently providing marketing services to the Oklahoma Tourism and Recreation Department. VI's efforts were focused on the specific interest of potential travelers and the identification of key locations, attractions, and activities to align with those interests. Services included strategic planning, market research, media planning, messaging development, video and creative production, programmatic video and display, over-the-top video, social media ads, native advertising, and campaign management, optimizations, and reporting. VI's strategy centers around assessing the visitors coming to Stillwater and tailoring a marketing strategy to fit that profile. Since no two communities are the same, VI uses their proprietary process to uncover a marketable identity that will appeal to residents and visitors alike. VI utilizes data analytics to develop and evaluate marketing strategies for effectiveness and return on investment. These ROI metrics are developed early in the engagement and involve the input of VI and the city. It became clear during this interview that VI would develop the marketing strategy and implement the marketing plan. When asked about their presence in Stillwater, the response was that sales were not a service that VI provided, and that Stillwater would need Visit Stillwater to answer the phone and make sales, set up events as needed, provide customer service, etc. VI has 2 staff members who recently lived in Stillwater, each for over a decade. Staff believed these employees could provide valuable insight into our marketing plan. We visited with Oklahoma Department of Tourism. Staff at the Oklahoma Department of Tourism report that VI is very creative and in the 4th contract year with that department. Staff does relate that there have been some, staff with the tourism department relates that there have been some growing pains and contractual issues which have stabilized with a new project manager. And one local firm here in Stillwater did report what they called an unsatisfactory experience with VI. We also visited with Engage, which is a company that is based in Washington, D.C. and has representatives in several other states. This firm developed, again, a key marketing strategy for Gardner, Montana. Interesting discoveries included what the public saw as community and area attractions differed from what the citizens saw as community and area attractions. Engage marketing development strategy was very similar to VI's. Determine the nature and interests of the visitors and develop a marketing campaign targeting these groups. We then interviewed Visit Stillwater, and their proposed plan of work and scope of services included marketing and communications, meeting and sales events, meeting and events with client services, enhanced visitor experiences, partner and industry relations, destination and economic development partnerships, and administration. Strategies listed under various objectives included website design and maintenance, publication of the annual visitors guide, citywide calendar for events, attendance at trade shows, event proposal response, incentive grants, and event sponsorship, visitor bags and promotional items, support of local museums and attractions, visitor information center, and destination development. Visit Stillwater did provide about 15, I think, annual reports from other DMOs that provided ROI, and they did appear to be, to us, good measures of ROI, and told us during the interview that any of those that We might like for future contracts just to circle those items and that they would include those in the contract. They also told us that metrics that are not collected through existing partnerships can be accumulated through further investments in data collection partnerships. And they also indicated a willingness to talk about events that they have brought here and events that they have tried to bring here, and beyond their best efforts, were unable to attract that particular event. When asked about a broader marketing reach, Visit Stillwater responded with sufficient funding. A contract with an additional national digital marketing firm would achieve that task. In terms of discussion, staff was very impressed with both VI and Engage. Both firms are capable of developing and implementing a comprehensive marketing campaign designed to achieve predetermined performance measures. VI is located in Oklahoma City and has several employees who are familiar with Stillwater. VI would enter the engagement with an understanding of the community and our core values. VI has worked with Visit Stillwater previously and could see some sort of arrangement going forward for specific services from Visit Stillwater. Engage is located in Washington, D.C., plans to be present in Stillwater during the research phase, but beyond that, it would not be here. Engage expressed concern that their approach would be respectful of Visit Stillwater and the work they performed. However, Engage expressed the opinion that a visitor center had limited appeal and that a visitor's guide should operate at a break-even point and is beneficial only in limited circumstances. Visit Stillwater's presentation reinforced staff's understanding that their forte is marketing local events. Visit Stillwater believes their ability to draw conferences and events is limited by Stillwater's lack of adequate meeting space and on-site hospitality venues. When the discussion turned to performance measures, again, they provided a fairly significant stack of paper that had a variety of ROI in it. What became apparent in visiting with both VI and Engage is that in destination marketing, there are generally two different kinds of firms. There is a local firm or a local group of a variety of organizational types that we'll look at here in a minute. And then there are other regional marketing groups marketing groups that advertise on both a regional and statewide and national level, and that both there needs to be no single group interviewed were persuasive that they had the ability to cover the tourism development component and the visitor service component. Staff did survey several surrounding cities and communities regarding structure, funding, and city involvement. And if I can get this pulled up. We took a look at Enid, Oklahoma. They have voted in 8% tax on their rooms with a revenue of a little over $1.3 million. Visit Enid is the local group that provides DMO type services at a budget of $475,000. The hotel tax is allocated 5% used to operate, renovate, manage, and furnish the Enid Event Center and Convention Hall Complex, 3% by the Garfield County Fairgrounds Trust Authority to operate, manage, renovate, and furnish the Chisholm Trail Expo Center. The balance of that went to their equivalent of a DMO. And that director is an employee of the Spectre of Venue Management Comcast under direct contract with the city to develop and operate convention center and subsequently the Visit Enid program. We took a look at Ponca City. They have an 8% tax with $540,000 revenue. Chamber of Commerce runs that particular bureau, and the tax is allocated 5/8 for encouraging, fostering, promoting conventions and visitor and economic development associated with the travel and tourism industry.
Do you have another
3/8
slide on that?
Sir?
Do you have your next slide?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I do.
It's hard to read in this little piece of paper.
It is. When I don't move it. 3/8 for capital improvements to recreational facilities on public property, and a 3% to offset cost of collection, which goes to general government there. The other city that we looked at that I went right by is Oklahoma City. 5.5% tax, $15.4 million in revenue. And there is a CVB commission established by ordinance. The hotel tax is allocated 4/11. It's kind of some different fractions here, but 4/11 expended for any projects, items, costs, and expenses that encourage, promote, and/or foster the convention and/or tourism development of the city. 6/11 expended for improvements to the Oklahoma City Fairgrounds, not including operational costs. 1/11 expended for the sponsorship and/or promotion of events recommended by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Commission and anticipated to enhance the local economy through increased convention and/or tourism activity in the city. Tulsa, 5% tax, $7.4 million in revenue. Division of the Tulsa Regional Chamber of Commerce has both public and private funding for that effort. 2% of the hotel tax is allocated to the general fund of the city of Stillwater to pay expenses for collection and enforcement of the tax.
Be great.
50.
You said Stillwater. You meant Tulsa.
Tulsa.
We
I'm
take
sorry.
2% of their money, though.
Yeah, I've got
We can
Stillwater
work
on the
that
brain.
deal.
I don't like talking about other cities, but yeah, it's Tulsa. 50.5% to Convention and Visitors Fund used to market and promote tourism and use of the convention facilities in the city of Tulsa and to serve the needs of visitors and encourage their economic activity in the city of Tulsa. 3% of the taxes levied together with all income derived from the investment of the taxes deposited into the Convention and Tourism Facilities Fund. This fund is to construct, reconstruct, operate, maintain, and repair buildings and facilities to foster the development of the city as a convention and tourist destination and to acquire land in connection therewith. 4.5% to the Economic Development Commission Fund used and expended by the Economic Development Commission, subject to budget review and approval by the council, is to carry out duties and obligations. Excuse me. Edmond has a 4% tax, $564,500 in revenue. Department of the City of Edmond runs it, and the tax collected is pursuant to the provisions of ordinance in their city to be set aside and used exclusively for the purpose of encouraging, promoting, and fostering convention and tourism for the city of Edmond. Norman, Oklahoma has a 5% tax, $1.79 million in revenue. A not-for-profit corporation consisting of 9 board members with 2 members appointed by the council with an annual renewable contract. The board administers a portion of the room tax funds set aside specifically for the purpose of encouraging, promoting, and fostering convention and tourism development in the city of Norman. Taxes are allocated pursuant to the provisions of an ordinance, again, that they have, and they're set aside and used exclusively for the purpose of encouraging, promoting, and fostering the convention and tourism development of the city of Norman. Uses in parks development and promotion of arts and humanities are thus contemplated. That's how it's done. And if that generated any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Trustees, questions for Mr. McNichol?
This is not exactly a question for you, Mr. McNichol, but I'll ask it now anyway. You made the distinction between VI and Engage and Visit Stillwater. Would the company that Mr. Whitworth just described be analogous to VI or Engage?
I don't think they're 100% digital. The difference would be in more traditional kinds of advertising that Engage or VI would do, both digitally and in print, and if we so desired, television or other radio, all forms of media. So they aren't purely a digital marketing firm.
Yeah, I got the impression from his discussion that they provide a service to firms like those to help run digital marketing campaigns or other marketing campaigns. So they'd probably be a more narrow focus than providing the strategy and all that kind of stuff. They get in and do the mechanics of it.
Okay.
Is that fair?
No, sir, you can qualify us as a full-service agency that can be enacted in all forms of service marketing, be it print, digital, TV, broadcast, whatever it would be.
Okay. Do you provide that service on your own or as a vendor to others?
We utilize platforms such as Facebook, Google, et cetera, for the actual placement of the ads. However, all the creative stuff is done in-house in our Tucson office.
Thank you.
I apologize. I misheard
That's
what
okay.
he had to say.
That's okay. And Mr. Whitworth, what was the name of your company?
Our company's name is Madden Media, M-A-D-D-E-N, M-E-D-I-A. MaddenMedia.com is our website if you'd like more information on us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustees, other questions for Mr. McNichol? I'll jump in. So you've got a list of options here for us to decide from. I don't know if you have more to say about this before you get to your options.
Excuse me. We do have options, and normally we would provide a recommendation to you. I'm fully prepared to do that, but the council would have to answer several questions that would remain in at least my mind in making that recommendation.
Well, I mean,
that would be a split between.
I mean, I think, kind of stepping back and looking at this entire process over the last year or so, or however long we've been talking about this, at least personally, one of my goals or objectives or thoughts here as we started this process was to examine how we do destination marketing in Stillwater, what the overall goals are, what we've, the way we've tried to meet those goals over the years, and see if there were other options or other possibilities or things we hadn't considered or things like that. So this interview process with some of these other firms focused pretty specifically on what Visit Stillwater does, the DMO piece, the marketing piece. And to me, sort of reading through this, I don't see a whole lot of differentiation necessarily with somebody else, right? I mean, I think there are firms who might have a more national impact, maybe, or there are firms that might have a different strategy, but we're still talking about providing marketing services for the city of Stillwater, right? Which is
I would say to you, and certainly I'm not an expert in this matter, and I want to emphasize that, but it appears as though the tourism industry right now is undergoing a change, that there is a move more towards digital advertising, but there is great dissension on whether or not that's the correct way to go. There's all kinds of debate about what should happen. So,
Well, I think you have an industry that is looking at digital media marketing, but then you also have to remember the personal side of it, the relationships you build with people and entities that come back to your communities. And so I think it's figuring out what that balance is and figuring out what works best for your community. And so that's probably
Sure.
what we're looking at also to make sure that we're getting
Yeah.
that right balance.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, sort of, again, stepping back and kind of looking at, well, there are other people. To me, I guess it doesn't sound like in this process we found anybody who had some, just
Magic bullet.
Magic, oh, look at how we're doing this. It's totally different. It's totally new. It's got this creative, component that other people haven't thought of before. I mean, it's a pretty similar service. And again, like Elaine said, that then brings in the community aspect of it, right? I mean, there's a lot of value there when people have relationships and know the community, that sort of thing. And so just replacing them with another marketing firm maybe doesn't really get you a whole lot. But at the same time, we've also, in seeing how some of these other communities handle these things, and one of the comments and questions I've had the whole way through is around, well, what about the other parts of tourism encouragement that aren't just marketing what we have, right? I mean, we've talked about this in Stillwater a bit. I mean, I know your conversation with Visit Stillwater talked about we'd probably get more stuff if we had more facilities to put people in. And that kind of has become a little bit more of a focus for me in reading through this and looking at these options about, is it, maybe we don't need a different marketing approach, but maybe we do need a different approach overall to how we get tourists and visitors to come to Stillwater that focuses a little bit more on facilities and things for people to come do in Stillwater, right? Because we have had a hotel tax in Stillwater now for 34 years. And as far as I know, there are a couple of silhouettes standing up on Boomer Road that are the only physical structures that have been purchased with any of that money. There may be something else, but I don't think we built anything with any of the hotel tax.
No.
And that, to me, I mean, is an outlier based on the slides you just showed about how other cities use their money. It also is, I think, a disservice to our community in terms of funding facilities that people will want to come visit and use. I mean, I just read, the News Press had a column from the Lieutenant Governor. This is Tourism Week or something along those lines. I think Friday, maybe. We talked about how Northwest Arkansas has invested a ton of money in bicycle facilities and how we need to invest more money in our state parks and state, facilities for people to come use. And that just, to me, reinforces this idea that Stillwater needs to also look at what we're doing with facilities when it comes to tourism and destination marketing. We need some of that stuff. We haven't dedicated any money to it ever. So there's a ton of, I guess, stuff that can be considered here. I've got a couple of ideas that I'm going to throw out here as to what we can do moving forward that might get us to a next stage. You're welcome to sit down. So this year, Visit Stillwater's budget was $720,000. I think that was sort of where we estimated the hotel tax to come in at. I think we're going to overshoot that a little bit more, by a little bit. I'm not sure what the number should be.
850 is what we're projecting at July 30th. And part of that is due to one facility here in town that's having financial concerns.
We're projecting it still because they're having financial concerns. We're not sure where it's going to end up. In any event, that ends up being about 80% of the money, I think. 720 out of 850 is about 80% of the money being spent on marketing. That extra 20% would then go into the fund we have. We still have, do you know what the number is, Melissa, on what we have?
About $455,000
That's excess hotel tax money that was really saved up when the city was exercising the function, correct?
Correct. And I think Norman and I projected that at the end of June, there'd be about $500,000 sitting in that account.
Okay. So it's about 85%, I think that number was what we spent on marketing versus the 15% extra that we would put in that account.
Right.
I think there's a need in Stillwater, so I'm going to jump around here a little bit, but when we start talking about assets, one of the things that we haven't had in Stillwater since Visit Stillwater went on its own is an actual CVB board that's part of the city, right? The Visit Stillwater board is part of that nonprofit organization. It's a good board. They do provide that service well to Visit Stillwater, but they're not providing an overall CVB function to the city, right? They're a board of Visit Stillwater. Not that they're not concerned about the city at large, but I think we need to look at and in fact implement an actual CVB board that sits under SEDA of folks, including potentially representatives from Visit Stillwater, other folks from the university, or whoever in town, to undertake this bigger picture look. right? Rather than just focusing on the marketing piece, to look at how we could, if we were to save back some of this money for facilities, to look at the overall marketing strategy, to incorporate, you know, some of the things we've seen the university be able to do with their tourism. Thank you, Melissa. With their tourism school, and take a little bit broader look at tourism in Stillwater overall, and potentially even take the next few months or a year to really reevaluate that strategy as a whole, and to talk about, okay, if we did use some of this money, the hotel tax money, for asset development, what would we use it on? What would we spend it on? There's tons of options out there. You see in some of these other cities, the conference center, NENIT, or the convention center, whatever they call it over there. I was in Bixby this weekend and at a soccer tournament, and they make you book hotel rooms. You sign your team up for a soccer tournament, and they say you have to book 8 hotel rooms for your soccer team, because I assume part of their hotel tax money was spent on improving their soccer fields and having those facilities available. So there's a lot of options. I think it would be good to have a good community committee, a CVB board, look at those options, figure out how to move forward in Stillwater with trying to develop some of those assets. I think Visit Stillwater, I know I have, and I think I've heard from everyone else up here, all the other trustees, that the service provided by Visit Stillwater to the city of Stillwater has been good. We haven't had any particular complaints about the level of service that's provided or the quality of that service. It's just been a question of, is this the best way for us to spend all of this money? We see, it looks like other cities are spending less on the marketing piece and using more of it some other place. And I think we as a city need to evaluate whether that needs to become a bigger part of how we treat this money. So my proposal at this point, I don't know if this is we're gonna, I don't know how it works, but I think I would like to see us institute a CVB.
Move from the chair. You can move from the chair.
That's fine. Well, I'm not sure I've formulated it into a motion yet. But I would like to see us establish a CVB under SEDA to help broaden this inquiry out and to create a real overall sort of forward-looking plan for tourism in Stillwater. I would like for us to talk about a new contract, negotiate a new contract with Visit Stillwater. I think having that sort of a percentage breakdown at this point of 85% of the money that we project would be spent on marketing at this point, 15% gets held back, and then that percentage gets reevaluated by this CVB as we go forward. I would anticipate that, I guess the dollars stay the same if the hotel tax goes up, but we would want to reevaluate whether that 85-15 breakdown is the right breakdown. But having those two things in place, where we have a board that's taking a longer forward-looking approach to tourism, putting that sort of percentage bracket in place at this point and kind of looking at what's the right breakdown for that going forward, allows us to continue to get hopefully the great service that we get from Visit Stillwater, but also allows us to start looking at what are the other things we need to be doing from a tourism perspective to help Stillwater continue to grow its visitor base. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Comments on that?
So how do you see the interaction between the Visit Stillwater board and the CVB, the proposed CVB board? How does that interaction look?
I think the Visit Stillwater board is still a service provider to SEDA. I think they would still come do their reports like they normally do. I don't think that relationship would really change. They'd still be a marketing service provider to the city. I think the CVB board itself would be, and I don't know if that's the right term, but that new, that reconstituted board that we used to have would be also sort of reporting back to SEDA on, here's what we think strategy-wise is the best way moving forward. Here's where we think we should allocate some of this stuff.
So both of those boards basically could operate independently. Neither
Yes.
one reports to anybody except for the SEDA trustees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There could be some overlap.
Yeah.
You may see some people who serve on both.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Visit Stillwater board would report to us?
No, I'm sorry. Visit Stillwater board reports to Visit Stillwater. That's
Right.
an independent
Okay.
nonprofit corporation. They handle their business, but Visit Stillwater as a service provider
Right.
gives us reports, and we contract with them. So we would continue to have that same relationship.
Right.
The CVB board itself would also provide insight and advice to SEDA for the bigger picture strategy of tourism. I would also, I'll just throw this out here because why not? I would like for that board to look into whether our hotel tax needs to be a little bit higher so that we can generate a little bit more money to look into some of these, the availability of some of these assets to be built in Stillwater. We see we're on the low end of our neighboring communities, so it should be something that is looked into as well. So I don't know if we need a motion for that. I don't know if that's option 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the staff report. I don't know how it really affects the RFP process or RFQ process. Actually at this point, I might just ask Willie, Mr. Baker, the chair of the current chair of the Visit Stillwater Board. We spoke about this general idea last week, and I think there was some. Well, I'd invite you to come on up and let us know your thoughts on that idea. I kind of gave him a heads up so we wouldn't be totally surprised by making that suggestion.
Thank you. Willie Baker, 1401 South Culpeper. We did speak last week, and I think that definitely that's what you're talking about doing is somewhat consistent what our goal has been all along, which is maintain our relationship providing services with the city of Stillwater. And 2, we've been looking at and discussed and been a part of, I don't know how many studies have been done about new convention center over the years, but we've been involved in those types of studies as well. So we're interested in those things. And that said, I mean, our position has always been we think we're the best choice for what the city needs. But again, recognize that there are other things that need to be looked at as well. So, I mean, I for one, and I think I can speak on behalf of our entire board. I know I can speak for the several that I've been in communication with since we spoke, and that would be that, this is a concept that we could certainly embrace and would like to see. We're always for option number 1 on your list. Don't get me wrong. I'll never abandon that. This is not a sign of weakness, but I do think that what you mentioned is something that would be good for all and help us achieve the goal.
Good. Well, I think as part of that, we do need to address as part of a new contract, when the new contract year comes up, what's been discussed quite a bit, which is clear expectations, right, clear communication channels, making sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to what the city expects. Mr. McNichol talked about the availability of some ROI measures that we could add in there that you all have suggested. So we would want to spend some time really reworking that contract to make sure everybody's on the same page and we're not kind of left in a similar situation of, well, we thought you were doing this and you thought you were doing that and that kind of thing. So I certainly appreciate you and your board's, involvement in this process. I know we've been, not always been talking the same language and been at cross communication sometimes, but, I think our goal is to move forward in a manner that benefits Stillwater. I think that's your goal as well. And absolutely. I think if we can maintain that communication, that relationship, I think we'll get there.
Okay. So. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
I'm curious in this contract renegotiation, which would probably need to begin tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Who will actually do that? Your board and SEDA, or your board and the city staff? Do you have a picture in your mind of how that will work?
I don't have a picture in my mind of how that will work. I mean, normally they're drawn up, or we have a starting point. They'll talk about it, and then we'll review kind of where they are and sort of see if there's comments, in the process to make sure. And then before it gets approved, either way, their board and our board, this board, will have to approve a final product. So we'll certainly, I don't know the intermediate steps, but we can talk about that.
Okay.
Awful.
Yeah. As far as incorporating changes to the contract, whether it's measurables, whether it's different projects, whatever it may be, I think we've been discussing that along the way. We've had some good meetings with Norman and other city staff members, and we're aware of quite a few of those things, and I don't think it would not be difficult to incorporate those into a contract.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, absent further discussion, is there a motion that you think we need at this point?
You could actually do 2 motions. I think with respect to going forward with Visit Stillwater, vote on that item, and then secondarily vote on the establishment of a new Visit Stillwater board that would work under SEDA and provide direction as to, you know, how you want us to, I assume you'd want us to come back with some drafts for you to start to look at, and then from that formulate what it is that the board's function will be. I mean, if it's under SEDA, you won't necessarily need an ordinance. You would need probably a resolution, since trusts generally don't use ordinances. That would probably take a little bit of time, and obviously you're going to want input from Visit Stillwater and whoever else you think you want in the process before you have a final product. So that will take a little bit of time. But
Okay.
I think we can have all of it in line to start, assuming the contract negotiations and stuff go July 1, probably, if we have everything in place.
Okay. All right, so I will, well, I can move from the chair, so I'll make the motion to say, to direct staff to renegotiate a new contract with Visit Stillwater. I think with the expectation that there'd be an 85%, the fee being set at 85% of the hotel tax collections for the fiscal year.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on that motion. Please vote. If we give Liz enough time there, I'm sorry, I kind of.
Tote board isn't showing.
That motion passes 5-0, thank you. And then I'll make another motion to direct staff to develop a resolution that would incorporate a new convention visitors board for the purpose of advice, direction, and strategy on visitor development at Stillwater.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. On the table, please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that motion's approved. Okay. Absent further discussion, I think that takes us to miscellaneous items from General Counsel under item 6. Mr. Dorman.
Nothing to report tonight, sir.
Are you sure? We don't have a...
Oh, I'm sorry. We have an executive session. I'm sorry.
I'm happy to go home.
It's getting late, isn't it? Yeah, I was thinking about that. Request an executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307 C11. I don't have my agenda in front of me. Thank you. Sorry. For the purpose of conferring on matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property, financing, or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the city of Stillwater, because public disclosure of the matter to be discussed would interfere with the development of products and services and would violate the confidentiality of the business.
Thank you, Mr. Dorman. Mr. McNichol.
No items, sir.
Trustees?
No items?
All right. How do we have to...
We'll go ahead and do this one, and then you'll come out and vote
Okay.
out, and then
All right.
vote back into the regular session for the city council meeting.
Okay. So at this time, is there a motion to enter executive session as the Stillwater Economic Development Authority?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter executive session. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the SEDA will now enter executive session.